Welcome back to the channel and my first project of 2022. In today's video, I'm gonna be using all of these to make an outfit. And why exactly do I have all of those cans? Last month, we received an entire pallet, or 1,800 cans worth, of Liquid Death mountain water. However, I'll tell a little bit more of that story later on. Right now, what's important is that once we got to drinking the water and the cans started piling up, I knew that I needed to upcycle them into something else. So here's the plan. I'm gonna turn all of these into something called scale mail. Basically a sort of chain mail, but made of teardrop-shaped metal pieces that resemble dragon scales. No, scales. And to make this happen, I'm gonna need some specific supplies. First off, some cut-resistant gloves, which, in case you were wondering, are not in fact resistant against axes or chainsaws. Jump rings, pliers, in all, the Liquid Death cans, and finally, a pedal-shaped punch, which unfortunately is not available in-store anywhere in Canada, so we're taking a trip across the border to New York State. But first, brunch with friends. Then a few cat snuggles, crossing the border, and a brief stop for some Uncrustables, which, just like the punch we were going to buy, are also not available in Canada. Oh, one of every kind. All right, that works. Yeah, I think that's good. If you've never seen or heard of this before, it is a circular peanut butter and jelly sandwich. After all of that, we finally arrived at our final destination. Oh, look how fat it is.
Yeah, right?
Oh, they're actually going a lot.
Wanna go check that out? Yo, look at this. America. Oh, there's a bunch of them.
Oh, there's a whole section.
Obviously.
Dude, 4th of July, that shit probably pops out.
Star Spangled, let's go.
Look, this one has like potatoes on it or something.
Potatoes?
Oh, no, they're cowboy boots, actually.
Cowboy boots?
I thought it was potatoes. They have so much, look, there's only $3.99 a yard. Oh my god, this is really cheap for this type of fabric. Wow, look at all those ribbons. This is so much ribbon. This is a really good selection of everything, honestly. Like, as far as like colors, styles, like all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of choices.
Yo, and this video is not sponsored by Joanne.
No, this video is not sponsored by Joanne. But so far I'd rate it probably solid, like 9 out of 10.
In comparison to?
In comparison to Canadian fabric store chain.
Yeah.
Do you have a good eye for flavor?
Yeah, sure. Can I help you?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think so. Because you've got these like blues, and then this is sort of like a cool beige, whereas see how this is like a warm beige?
Yep.
So I think these two colors do go with these ones.
I think so.
Yeah, I do think so.
Have a good day.
Oh, that's so nice. Look at all this ribbon. I'm like actually amazed. Dude, Americans are so lucky. They don't even realize. Got the punch and some chocolate. Now that we have all of our supplies gathered, pretty sure the first step is to just get to punching. After the first couple of cans, I determined that the best way to do this was to remove the top and the bottom, then slice up the sides so that I basically just had an open rectangle of aluminum. Then I punched it, making sure to turn the punch face down when I actually squeezed it so that no petals would go flying around the room or into my eye.
Approximately 10 hours later.
Now that we have an entire bowl full of scales cut, I think it's about time we talk about the actual design of this outfit. Because I don't want it to just be 100% scale mail. Like, I'm not going for a medieval knight look. I want this to be more like a woodsy fairy queen kind of dress. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make a dress. And this dress is actually going to be in 3 separate pieces. The bodice is going to be a fabric underlay with all the scales hand sewn on. Attached to that is going to be some chains made out of pop tabs as well as scales that are going to hang down over top of the skirt. The skirt is going to be its own separate piece that's going to be heavily gathered with an elasticized waistband so that I can just quickly slip it on and then put the bodice over top. And then lastly, we're going to have some epaulettes as well as some sort of chest detailing that's all going to be one piece as well. Before I can get started assembling all of this though, I'm going to need the fabric and a couple of other things. First stop, fabric store. I grabbed some tulle and nude colored fabric for the skirt, as well as some boning, elastic, and a zipper. Next up, I headed to my least favorite place, the hardware store. So many Friday nights spent in this store with my dad in the automotive section. And grabbed an extra pair of pliers. Back at home, I printed out a PDF pattern for the bodice. I taped it together and then used a French curve to add a point at the center front and center back hems. Next, I cut out all the pieces from this nude colored polyester, something I would come to regret momentarily. But for now, I thought some boning and some interfacing in the bust cups would do the trick. The next morning, I came upstairs and got to work. My plan was to first assemble the inner layer of the bodice that would have the boning attached to it. Then I would make the outer layer, put the two together, flip it around, and boom, a corset top. Just gotta add a zip. But once I did all that, I realized that basically it's just a mess. I shouldn't really have tried to use this slippery polyester fabric, which I technically only bought to be the skirt underlay, and it doesn't fit right. It's way too big, which is a huge problem because it's meant to be tight, not loose. It's just not working. I'm basically left with one option, and that is to redo the whole thing. I don't have any more boning, but honestly, after this, I don't really think it needs it. I'm just gonna go ahead and use some cotton muslin. Before we continue on and I make a new corset top, why don't I tell you the story of how we obtained 1,800 cans of liquid death? Nice, look at this.
I got a text message from my friend Anthony Gazelle, and he said to me, "Do you want a pallet of liquid death?" And I said, "Yeah."
2 weeks later.
Our pallet of liquid death has arrived.
Quick shouts to this delivery guy in his SpongeBob sweater.
Thank you, Anthony.
Our thirst is so murdered.
Dude, our thirst has been buried.
Brought back and murdered again.
We're gonna have to, we were trying to take today off. We're gonna have to load this into the house now.
Our system was a liquid death relay. Wyatt brought the cases from the pallet to the front hall, and I took them from the front hall to the kitchen. Speaking of death, RIP to those leggings I'm wearing, which have since been ruined by the aggressive wind of the Colorado mountains, literally knocking me off my feet into a bush.
Oh my gosh, dude. Let's go. Oh my god. Oh my, it just keeps going. Wow. What's she doing down there?
I've MacGyvered a system.
What's the system?
It's a liquid death sled.
A liquid death sled?
Yes.
Okay, cool. What's up?
So watch. Hopefully it just works. A couple of cases on, lower them down to you.
How is that gonna? How are you gonna?
Try it out.
Okay.
What do you think, man?
Okay.
So I'm gonna wait to the bottom for the sled. And,
I
hopefully
think.
they don't fall off.
I think, babe. I think.
No. I think it's gonna work.
Oh my gosh.
Did it work?
Of course it didn't work. What the fuck? What the fuck?
We just put it front. And then it'll work.
Do you not see how steep these stairs are now? Like,
I think we can make it work.
you just whipped a case down the stairs. You're like, fuck.
You know what? Yeah, we really don't have enough cases.
Oh my gosh.
That case was just a part of the testing process. I feel so bad about that case.
Don't worry about the one case. I think we're good, bro.
I'm not gonna lie to you. We tried to make the liquid death sled work one more time. Here it goes. Let's do it. Is it stuck?
Yeah.
Give it a little kick. Let's just try with one single
Well,
case.
they're down there. I'm not bringing it back up. That's the case behind you.
Perfect. We've got 3 down so far.
Out of 153, we gave one to the neighbor.
Oh my god.
She got out of her car and was like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Oh my god.
She's like, "What is liquid death? That's so aggressive." I was like, "It's water." She's like, "It's water."
I know what you're thinking, and you're right. There is no way to make this work. We just got the cases down there the old-fashioned way, using our arms and legs. Now back to the dress. With 2 hours already down the drain, I needed to switch into high gear. I printed the pattern again, this time 2 sizes smaller, and cut another top from that muslin I was talking about. This stuff is a raw, scratchy cotton that is often used for rough copies of garments. It's something I literally always have on hand, and it sews together really nicely, meaning it doesn't pucker along the seams or cause any other problems. Then I got to sewing again. I did all the vertical seams, then attached the bust cups. After that, I just had to once again put the 2 layers together and flip it right side out. This time it looked perfect. So I added a zipper at the left side seam and tried it on. Okay, that is much more like it. Okay. Now that the corset top is finally finished, I can start attaching the scales, which I'm going to do by sewing them on by hand. To make sure all the scales would be even, I sketched a pencil line about a ½ inch above the hem, the whole way around. Then I just sewed each scale along that line one at a time, overlapping them as I went. So that's the whole first row of scales done, and I am so pleased with how it looks. I think it looks really, really good. Super shiny. I've just been picking up scales at random and sewing them on so that the patterns are randomly distributed. And I think it just looks really cool. At this point, I'm gonna go downstairs and get comfy on the couch with like a book light and just do a few more rows.
2 days later.
Dress update. Weather update. I woke up that morning to about 2 feet of snow that had fallen all in one night. I was supposed to go and get my hair done this day actually, but the salon didn't even bother opening. And that led me to spend the next 8 hours hand sewing scales. Since I was snowed in and doing such a repetitive task, I thought it would actually be a good time to check out the new Sex and the City reboot called And Just Like That. Sex and the City is one of my favorite shows of all time, so I was super nervous when they announced that they were doing this new thing. If you don't want to hear my review of And Just Like That, or any spoilers, go ahead and skip to the timestamp on the screen, or just hit mute and continue watching the time lapse. Let's start with Big Dying. Literally, I never liked his character at all. Out of all of Carrie's potential matches, I always liked Aiden the most. I have ranted to my best friend about this probably 17 times. I thought I wouldn't care at all when he died in the new show, but it was actually pretty sad seeing Carrie so heartbroken. Second, Samantha was always my favorite character, so naturally it sucks that she's not in this new show. I also think they're painting her as pretty selfish and mean with this whole she left for London story, which I don't really think is fair. Like, I get that the actual actress just didn't want to be on the show, but I don't know, in the story, it's just not believable that Samantha would just bail on the other 3 women. They'd been friends for years. So they I don't know, they could have come up with a better story to explain why she wasn't in the series. Lastly, there's Miranda, and you know what? I'll say it, she's an asshole for what she did to Steve. All in all, I thought And Just Like That was just alright. But what's most important to me is, of course, the fashion, which did not disappoint me in the slightest. On screen, I'll put some of my favorite outfits from the series so far. And if you guys are into this as well, comment down below some of your favorite outfits from the show. Now, here's our back door. And here's our driveway after Wyatt was an absolute champion and shoveled it. This is truly incredible. You did good. Look at you, you're so colorful against the snow.
Look at this. Come here. Put your shoes on and come look at this.
What is it?
Oh, you're filming? Come
Yeah,
here.
I'm filming. Should I film when you're showing me? What is it?
Come here. Look where the car was.
Oh, Jesus. Look at this.
Here.
This is as tall as me.
Can I hand you that? You just put that in on the way in
Yeah,
there?
for sure.
Cool. I'm gonna keep going.
Okay, you're doing amazing. You're doing amazing work out here.
Wait, you think I don't know that?
Back inside where it was warm, I tried on the completed bodice. And damn, I am actually really impressed with myself because this looks super good. With that done, I could move on to making the skirt. I got both a periwinkle and a navy tool, so I played around with layering them a little bit to see how many layers of each color I should use. Then I just needed to cut the tool into rectangular chunks. I measured from my natural waist to the floor, plus a couple of extra inches to allow for heels. Now, when it comes to cutting tool, there is in fact a trick to it. Instead of the old measure twice, cut once, it's more like measure once, cut all the rest of it. Seriously, if you measure each and every piece of tool with a ruler or a measuring tape, you're gonna be there all day. So just cut one chunk the size that you want, lay it on the rest of the fabric and cut. Then do it again and again and again until you have a nice little stack all cut from the first one. I know this sounds lazy, but I used to work for a company that made dance costumes, and trust me, this is the way to do it. Next up, of course, was to sew all those chunks of tulle together. I've done this exact process once on the channel before in my pom-pom dress video. Basically, you sew 2 chunks together to make 1 tube. Then gather up the top edge of that tube. Repeat this process and then sew all your tubes to an elastic waistband. Now you have a skirt. Also, at least once per video, I have to switch back to real time for a moment to show you how comically loud Wyatt's drumming is over top of my peaceful sewing. So this turned out pretty much exactly as I imagined it in my head, and I am super, super happy with it. I think the mix of colors between the 2 colors of tulle and the creamy colored underlay, it all just really works with the paint on the cans. The next step now is to create these sort of chains or I don't know, decorative straps, I guess, that come off the bodice and sort of fall along the skirt. The way that I'm gonna do it is I'm going to attach the pop tabs together with some jump rings. I have a little tiny segment here that I've already made. So that's what that's gonna look like. And probably about half of them are just gonna be like this, and then the other half are gonna also have scales attached. To be able to accomplish everything I just described, I was going to have to gather a lot of pop tabs. So I spent the next, I don't even know how long, just going through my bags of cans, removing the tabs. This many bags of cans, to be exact. Once I finally felt like I had enough, I created my chains. Like I mentioned before, I left some of the tab chains just like this, and then others I tediously attached my scales to. Good thing I had Bowie to keep me company. And with all those attached to the skirt, I think it looks pretty cool. Today, we move on to phase 3 of the can dress, which is just the shoulders. I'm gonna make some epaulettes, and they're gonna have some sort of like pop tab chains connecting them and like hanging down dramatically over the décolletage. Great word, right? Décolletage, a classy way to say cleavage. Now let's breeze through the rest of the assembly of this outfit because I don't know about you, but I am ready to see the final look. I made some shoulder pads out of muslin, something that was admittedly hard to do on myself, but unfortunately my Judy doesn't have arms, so she was useless. I then sewed pop tabs around the edges of the pads and covered them in scales. Next, I wove some tulle through a pop tab chain to incorporate some of the blue on the upper body and also to make this bit stronger. I also sacrificed a necklace I never wear to get a sturdy clasp. Then I just created some hanging bits out of pop tab chains on the chest and back, and we are good to go.